Ta-da! Look at this. In Michelle's room, where I always go to hang out, Michelle, said to me, who was engrossed in a game, with excitement. In Michelle's hand was a basket, the kind of basket one might take on a picnic.
What's that?
Beef sandwich. Isn't it your favorite? I stopped my game and started helping Michelle as she set the table and started preparing spoons and soup. What? Did Michelle make this?
I wish I could say yes, but my mom made it. She gave us some because she knows it's your favorite.
I was not very well behaved, but I couldn't resist and took off the bread and threw only the meat into my mouth, then ate the bread. My favorite, the bread soaked in mustard and mayonnaise, was yummy. Michelle and I have been dating for over 10 years now. We started hanging out in, believe it or not, the first year of middle school. Everyone bet on when we broke up because we've been together for so long. I am very familiar with Michelle's family, her parents, her brother, and our friends say it's like we are already married. In fact, I have a stable job in life now, so I'm thinking maybe it's time to get married. Please thank your mom, it's really good.
Yeah. I'll tell my mom you didn't behave and ate it in pieces.
Michelle and I sat at the table and started eating.
It's so nice, being able to eat together like this.
Suddenly, Michelle became sentimental, and I couldn't help but laugh. What's this all of a sudden?
I just thought, it's sad that Luke couldn't have meals like this when you were a child.
I don't have parents. As far as I can remember, I was raised in an orphanage. I was also fostered by several families for a while, but I could never settle down in one home and kept moving in and out of various homes. I must have been an unlovable child. But since middle school, Michelle's parents have taken care of me like their own, and I gradually started to feel what a family is supposed to be like. Of course, Michelle knows about my background, but we never had an opportunity to discuss it in detail. What's up with this, all of a sudden?
Don't you have any interest in your biological mother?
My biological mother, not really. After all, she's the one who abandoned me, the root of my misfortune. I don't want to know such a person. I had thought about the existence called mother throughout my life. A mother who came to pick up her plain child. A friend who went home holding his mother's hand with embarrassment. I don't have that hand. I realized the deep void in my heart when I thought about that. But it's a thought that leads nowhere. Since then, I have been turning my eyes away from the void named mother.
You shouldn't think about your mom like that.
Why? It's the undeniable truth. If she was going to abandon me, she shouldn't have given birth to me in the first place. At that moment, Michelle slammed her mug on the table.
That way of thinking is wrong. Don't say you shouldn't have been born.
Usually, if we have a fight, I quickly give in and apologize. But today's topic was bad. I couldn't control my irritation because she touched the part I didn't want to be touched. What does Michelle know about me? You were raised in a warm and cozy home, protected by loving parents. I was thankful to Michelle. She has never abandoned someone like me and cherishes me as an important person. However, I cannot think she understands the depth of the wounds in my heart. You can understand without experiencing the days when I held my head and fell asleep in tension.
I can't understand the emotions you are trying to hide. But still, I cannot accept being pushed away from the beginning, saying it's absolutely impossible.
Michelle, usually kind, has a stubborn streak when it comes to her own farts. She respects others' perspective, but she doesn't hesitate to express her opinion if she thinks something is wrong. It's an impressive part of Michelle's, but right now, It feels nothing but troublesome. Everyone has things they don't want others to touch. Can't you understand that?
Am I just a stranger to Luke? A complete stranger who can't even share your wounds?
They stranger, yeah. I inadvertently spoke those words and immediately felt they were inappropriate, but I couldn't take them back. Michelle looked hurt. Then, her face quickly turned to one of anger.
Right. Luke and I are strangers. We might never intersect in our lives. For starters, Luke is Pua. I've decided since long ago not to marry a Pua person.
I knew Michelle was just speaking out of anger too. However, we didn't know what to do with the heated emotions between us. That's enough. I left the sandwich I was holding on the table and exited Michelle's room. There was no sign of Michelle following me. What's this all about? Bringing this up now. A mother will never appear in my life. Then isn't Mrs. Johnson the only mother I need? Why recall a painful past deliberately? Walking, I keep screaming my overflowing hatred inwardly. But due to that, I inadvertently realized the wound in my heart is still a fresh, bleeding wound. I haven't been able to give up my envy towards the existence called mother. There was no contact from Michelle. I also didn't contact her since I left angrily. However, as the lack of contact lasted a week, anxiety started stirring. Because of that, I made mistakes at work, got yelled at by my boss, and had to stay late to finish tasks. 2 weeks after losing contact with Michelle, to distract myself from the frustration, I drank a lot of alcohol and was staggering home. What the heck, Michelle? Seriously got fed up with me? Huh. Sorry for being poor, but I was thinking of working hard to buy a sweet 10 diamond in the future. I shamelessly yelled out, drunk. It was a cold night. It was so chilly that it felt like it might start snowing. It was when I shivered involuntarily. I saw a person crouching on the sidewalk. A drunk like me passed out. You'll freeze to death like that. Looking closely, it was not a drunk, but an old lady. Could she be a wandering elder who might have slipped out of her house due to dementia? I approached the old lady and spoke to her. Excuse me, are you okay? You'll freeze if you stay here. Upon hearing my voice, the old lady looked up. She must be freezing. Her lips were turning blue. But the old lady smiled warmly at me.
Oh, Maurice, did you come to pick me up? My back started hurting suddenly, and I couldn't stand.
Probably her sin's name. I couldn't leave the old lady like this, so I picked her up. You seem cold, let me take my home. My place is nearby. I thought I should call the police or an ambulance, but I felt the need to warm her up immediately. I took the old lady home and immediately turned on the heater and covered her with a blanket. Thinking it would be good to warm her from inside as well, I made tea and handed it to her. Here's some tea, please drink it. The old lady accepted the mug and sipped the tea, blowing on it to cool it down. I, too, was feeling chilled after being warmed by the alcohol, so I sat next to her under the blanket.
Maurice is a kind boy. Making tea and all. You're really thoughtful.
Is that so? Thank you. Watching her profile as she sipped her tea with apparent delight, I could feel my body warming up inside the quilt. Before I knew it, I had fallen asleep. The next morning, I realized I was sprawled out atop the comforter and awoke muttering, "It's cold." At the same time, I perceived scents and sounds that could never belong to my usual room. The smell of corn soup and the sound of a knife hitting a cutting board. I hurriedly sat up to find the old lady from yesterday cooking in the cramped kitchen.
Maurice, you up? Breakfast's ready. Let's eat together.
I knew I had to contact the police as soon as possible. There surely must be a family looking for the old lady. But her smiling face dampened my will to make the call. The food she made had a genuinely warm and soothing taste. I wondered if this is what they call a home cooking. Corn soup and sandwiches. The bread baked in a frying pan was really good.
You need to eat more properly. There's nothing in the fridge.
Yay, sorry.
It's okay. Your mom will come and cook for Maurice.
The old lady gently patted my back as I was eagerly eating my food. I almost burst into tears. But I managed to hold back and said to the old lady, "Thank you, Mom." After that, I contacted the police and escorted the old lady to the station. At the station, a man with a distressed face was indeed waiting. He must have been searching all night. I am so sorry. I should have contacted sooner. After letting the old lady warm up at my place yesterday, I fell asleep. While I bowed an apology, the man thanked me repeatedly and embraced the old lady.
Mom, thank God.
Maurice, what's going on?
The man offered his thanks, but I declined and bid my farewells. I already received a gift. The old lady showed me the love of a mother. That alone was enough. Still, he said he wanted to do something. I exchanged contact information with the man. A few days after that incident, I received a message from Michelle's brother. He wanted to meet the next Sunday. It's almost a month since Michelle and I stopped seeing each other. Maybe the situation has become so severe that her brother, Eric, has to step in. On the promised Sunday, Eric was waiting at the appointed cafe. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yes, my apologies for being out of touch.
If you're fighting with Michelle, you won't meet me either.
Both siblings are straightforward, leaving me at a loss for words.
So, you guys are acting stubborn, but you like Michelle, don't you?
I am not so brazen as to affirmatively respond, yes, when asked by a lover's brother if I like his sister. Well, I mean, if we weren't fighting, I was thinking maybe it's about time to talk about marriage or something. Blushing, I somehow managed to speak, and Eric got up with a cheerful "I see." And then, he promptly left the cafe. At Eric, startled, I watched as he left, giving a thumbs up with a broad smile. He even left the coffee bill unpaid. And a few days later, I was utterly stunned by an envelope that was in my home mailbox. Inside it was, unbelievably, a wedding invitation. The sender's name was Michelle Thompson. What's this? Michelle getting married, and she has the nerve to send me an invitation to her own wedding. Not understanding what was going on, I frantically called Michelle. But the call wouldn't connect. Having no choice, I call Eric. Then, Eric answered the phone with inexplicable energy.
What? You got the envelope?
Why are you so excited? This is the worst moment for me.
Worst? Why? Anyway, I'm coming to pick you up right away, so get ready.
It made absolutely no sense. Pick up? Where on earth is Eric planning to take me? 10 minutes later, Eric, who had arrived in front of my house, was unusually well dressed. He took me to the Civic Center and pushed my reluctant back, saying, "What are we doing here?" Entering the hall entrance, there was Michelle, dressed in a gown. A gown? Is Michelle getting married here?
Wedding. What are you talking about? Just get ready quickly, bro.
Still clueless, I was being tossed around by the Thompson siblings. I was taken to a room by Eric where people changed my clothes into a suit and did my hair. Eric, why do I have to do all this?
Well, it's your engagement party.
Engagement party? Checking the invitation in my pocket again, it wasn't a wedding, but an engagement ceremony. And next to Michelle Thompson's name was clearly my name. The invitation was written, "Will you marry me?" Michelle and my engagement party.
What did you think it was?
I thought Michelle was rubbing in her marriage with another man by sending me the invitation.
Even Michelle isn't that mean.
Prepared, I, like a bride walking down the aisle, was led into a hall by Eric. There was a world of fairy tales decorated with flowers and ribbons. In the center of the room was Michelle and Michelle's parents. But on the opposite side was a woman I had never seen before. I went and stood in front of Michelle. I then shook hands with Michelle's parents.
Welcome to our engagement party.
Really, a lover of surprises can be troublesome.
But there are no objections to our engagement, right?
Well, I was also thinking it's about time. At my response, Michelle, looking satisfied, hugged me. Michelle's parents also watched us with joy. And the unknown woman was wiping her tears with a handkerchief for some reason and watching.
Luke, you've grown into such a respectable adult.
At the woman's murmur, I was taken aback and looked at Michelle.
She's your biological mom.
Michelle, you found my mom.
Not so much found. It's more like your mom found you.
According to Michelle's explanation, my mother, Alice, lost her husband to an accident while she was pregnant with me. Alice was inherently frail, and giving birth was life-threatening for her. For that reason, she decided it was impossible to raise a child on her own, and chose adoption for me. However, the supposed adoptive parents abandoned my upbringing. As a result, it seems I was placed in a foster care facility. Alice realized this when I was in elementary school and apparently tried several times to get custody of me. However, Alice, being single and financially unstable, was not granted permission. So, you've always known about me.
I've been watching over you in secret. I was truly happy to see the Thompson family being there for you.
I also realized Alice's existence not long ago. I noticed she was around often. Then, I approached her and found out Alice is Luke's mom.
So that's why she asked me about my birth parents. Understanding the reason behind our argument, I sighed at my pettiness again. Michelle, I'm sorry about that time. I had no idea my mom was around.
No, it's fine. Luke, you have a mom who genuinely cares for you.
I realized my happiness. I have Michelle, who tirelessly looks out for me. And a mother I never thought I'd meet is right here in front of me. I also have the Thompson family. I once again stood in front of my mother, Alice. Nice to meet you. I'm Luke Jones. Thank you for giving birth to me, Mom. Alice was crying out loud. I felt a bit embarrassed but patted Alice's back. Several months later, Michelle and I held a wedding ceremony. The old lady and Maurice, whom I helped that day, were also present. If it weren't for meeting that old lady, I might not have been able to accept Alice so readily. I smiled at Michelle in front of me. Now, it's my turn to build a family that brings happiness to others. I have plenty of role models. And even if I make mistakes and argue with Michelle, there are people who support us. I want to become a parent who can convey heaps of love to our children who will be born in the future.